Welcome to Volt DNA. This is the part 2 of Advanced Option Greek course presented to you by Volt DNA Educational Series. And in this second part, we are going to discuss the next Greek, that is gamma. In the first part, if you have watched our previous video, we have discussed the delta, what is delta, how it behaves across strike prices, across expiries, and how it behaves with volatility. In this second part, we are going to discuss the very close brother of delta, that is gamma. So let's begin. So what is gamma? Basically, gamma measures how much the delta of option will change with respect to $1 change in the price of the underlying. So in the previous video where we have discussed the delta, we have noted that delta measures how the price of the options will change with respect to $1 change in the stock or underlying. The gamma is just like the sibling of delta. It does not measure the price of option, it measures how much the delta of option will change. So the most important point here is it calculates how the delta of option will change with respect to $1 change in the price of the underlying. For example, if I have bought a call option with a strike price of $100 and this option is currently trading at $2, and the option trading software is showing that it has a delta of 0.50 and a gamma of 0.10. So in this gamma class, we are going to find out what is this 0.010 means. What is the interpretation of this positive 0.10? So I discussed in our definition. Gamma measures how the delta of option will change. So what do we get from this positive 0.10? It will help us in calculating the delta if the stock moves. So in this example, if the stock moves from $100 to $101, then it is very common sense that the delta of the option will not remain 0.50. It will change. So when I bought the option, it was at the money. That means the strike price and the stock price are the same. When the stock moves to $101, this option moved from at the money to slightly in the money. If you have related with options, you must have know what is this at the money and in the money is. So when the stock moves $1, the delta of such call option will increase to 0.60. So how this 0.60 is calculated? 0.50 was the original delta and the gamma of the option is 0.10. So for a $1 change in the strike price, that is this, the delta will increase by 0.10. So the new delta of this call option will be 0.60. So that is how gamma is used. Let's take another example. If I have sold a call option with a strike price of $100 for a $2 per option, and the option trading software is showing a delta of 0.50 and a gamma of 0.10, you will notice that when I bought the option, it is showing the positive gamma. When I short the option, it is showing negative gamma. So again, if the stock moves to $99, there is a $1 fall in the stock. So my call option, shorted call option, moves from at the money to slightly out of the money. So the delta of such call option will now be 0.40. How this is calculated? 0.50 original delta, $1 change in the stock price, and 0.10 was the gamma. So in this slide, we have discussed what is gamma, and through examples, we came to know that how the gamma decides the delta of option if the stock prices moves. So let's move forward. So this is just the pictorial explanation of the previous example. If I have purchased a call option for $100 strike price at $2 per option, and the delta of such option is currently 0.50. What would be the delta if the stock goes to $103? Now all of you would be easily calculate that the new delta of option will be 0.80. 0.50 original delta and 0.30 is increase in delta due to gamma. So let's move on to next slide. So how the gamma behaves across different strike prices. All of you must have know about that there is an option chain which includes different strike prices, different expiries, and different volatility scenarios. So in this slide we will discuss how the gamma behaves with strike prices. So the general rule: at the money options have highest gamma. The more you move out of the money, the gamma will start decreasing, provided that other things being constant. So what is the general rule? So as said, this is the general rule that the ATM options have highest gamma, and the more you move out of the money, the gamma of option will start decreasing. As gamma measures how much the delta of option will move, negative gamma can create challenges for option sellers on gapping moves. So the most important Greeks for option sellers should be the gamma, because no other Greeks is just like exploding as gamma. On a gapping moves, especially in equity markets, when the stock market opens 5% up, 5% down, the gamma of such option will explode. It will create havoc for option sellers. So the main concern for option seller is how they manage their gamma. For example, for checking what do you mean, what do we mean by this explosion of gamma, this is the example. If I have sold put option of $100 strike price with current delta of 0.50 and gamma of negative 0.10. Next morning I woke up and the stock opens at 5% below at $95. So now you can easily calculate what would be the options of delta of options would be around 0.99. If you calculate it, mathematically it will show the delta of 1, but in options generally the delta 1 is not possible and it is shown as 0.99. It is almost 1, and trader will be under deep water. When I shorted the put option, for every $1 change, the option price will be changed by 0.50. Now after such gap down of 5%, now every $1 change will create almost a $1 change in option price as well. So this is the power of gamma, and this is why option sellers are most concerned about this negative gamma. So let's move on to the next slide. So this is just we have discussed the general principle. The more you move out of the money, the gamma will start decreasing. This is the option chain of Apple, and if you look at the this is probably I think 142 is the at the money option. So the more you start moving out of the money, the gamma, this is the gamma column, the gamma of option will start decreasing 0.50, 49, 47, 45. So as you move further out of the money, the gamma will start decreasing. Now move on to the next slide. So how the gamma behave different expiries. All of you must know that there are different expiries in today's modern option trading world. So how the gamma behaves across different expiry. The more near the expiry, the more gamma of options will have. So this is the general principle. How does it so? Due to the fact that if you have studied about options, options value has two component. Option value has two component. One is intrinsic value, that is how much the option is in the money, out of the money, at the money, and the other is time value. So if I ask you a question that one option is expiring in 1 week and one option is expiring in next month, so you can easily tell me that the weekly expiry option will have lesser of time value and more of a intrinsic value. The more far the options, for example in case of monthly expiry, the more is time value. So in case of shorter term options have much more gamma in comparison to far term option due to the fact that near term options have little time value and their value are solely dependent on the change in the price of the underlying. However, in far term options there is much more time value embedded in them. Therefore, their delta don't move much in small changes in the underlying. So this is just the explanation of what I have discussed above. Due to the extra time value in long-term options, they does not have much more gamma as compared to short-term options because they have more protection embedded in them. For example, if stock is currently trading at $100, 1 week the option which is expiring in next week, the strike price of $96 having put option might be trading at $1 with a delta of 0.20, and the same strike price option with 1 month expiry might be trading at $3.50 with a delta of 0.40. So if we just stop here, you will find that the 1 week $96 put option has a delta of 0.20 and the same strike price 1 month put option have a delta of 0.40. So what does this 0.20 and 0.40 means? If you have watched our previous video of delta, you will easily find that 0.20 and 0.40 is roughly the percentage, the probability of options going in the money. So the 1 week option have probability of 20% going in the money, whereas the 1 month expiry option have a 40% probability of going in the money. Why this is so? Why there is so difference in the probability? Due to the time gap. A stock has only 1 week to move to $96 and the same 1 month expiry option has almost 30 days to go to the $96. So with common sense one can easily find out that more the farther the expiry, the more probability of option will have for going in the money. So what will happen if the stock suddenly open as $96 next morning? What would be the delta of both options at starting? If the next morning stock opens at $96, both options will have delta of 0.50. Why? Because now when I traded these options, these were out of the money, and the next morning if the stock moves to $96, both the options will have 0.50 delta. But the difference is the difference by the rate at which the delta move. Weekly delta has changed from 0.20 to 0.50 and there is change of 0.30, whereas the monthly option has delta of 0.40 and there is only 0.10 change in the monthly expiry option. So this example shows that the shorter term expiry options have much more impact due to gamma in comparison to long term expiries. So this is proved through a real life option chain of Apple stock. You will note that a $140 strike price with a 1 week expiry has a gamma of 0.047, whereas the same strike price 1 month expiry has a gamma of 0.02. So there is more, almost half the gamma in monthly expiry as compared to weekly expiry. So next, move on to the next slide. So how gamma behaves with volatility. As discussed in our previous video, in introduction of Greeks, we have explained what is volatility and how it is a dark horse of options. It is really that volatility is just such an important factor in options that every professional trader should understand the volatility and how it impacts your positions. So how gamma is related to volatility, how gamma behaves with increase and decrease of volatility. So we'll discuss it here. For at the money options, increasing the IV will decrease the gamma. Okay. And for out of the money options, increasing IV will increase the gamma. So I know that this might sound confusing, but it is factual. What I am telling you here is factual and it is proved through option chain. For at the money options, increasing IV will decrease the gamma. For out of the money option, increasing IV will increase the gamma. So why is it so? As I have said, it might sound confusing, but this is the how option chain and skew reacts to the change in IV. It can be understood from the fact that ATM options have highest time value. If you look at the option chain, you will note that the ATM options are most traded options and they have the highest time value embedded in them. So they have more protection embedded in them for change in the price of underlying. Whereas out of the money options have little time value. They are just token options trading at cents or in dollars, $1 or $2, and they are more severe to change in the price of the underlying. If we increase the IV, the probability of ATM options going in the money increases, due to which they catch up the delta and gamma. So first of all, what is volatility? If a stock has a volatility of say 20 and it is currently trading at $100, what does this mean? What this 20% IV means? That option market is thinking that this stock might either go to 80 or it might go to 120. So this is the possible range expected by options market. So what will happen? So for example, let's say I pick up the option, a put option of $85. So if the current IV is 20 and the possible range of 80 and 120 of this stock, what would be the delta of $85 put option? I think it might be around 30, 35. Let's say it has a probability of 25. It has 25% probability of going in the money. What would happen if I increase this IV to 30? Let's say there is a new news in the market and the IV of this stock goes to 30. So what would happen is, when this out of the money options has increased in IV, suddenly the new range of the stock will be 70 and 130. So the new range of this stock would be 70 and 130, and now the probability, now all of you can easily guess that the probability of this out of the money option will shortly rise and it will be shoot around 0.40. But suppose what would be the case if we are discussing at the money option. Suppose instead of this $85 put option, if we were discussing $100 strike price put option, it will be the same delta of 0.50 irrespective of change in the IV. So I hope that this example will clear this a little bit confusing concept. You just need to remember that out of the money option, for out of the money option, increasing IB will decrease the gamma, and for out of the money option, increasing IB will increase the gamma. Thank you for watching. Subscribe us for more.